How are you?
How are you today?
Good, good. I'm getting a little cold, actually.
You're getting a cold or you were physically cold?
Getting a cold.
Okay.
Or an allergy, one or the other. But, you know, I can't complain.
Better than COVID.
More than likely, yes. Absolutely.
I can already see how this is going to be, kids.
Coffee.
All of it.
Coffee, I take a break with water in the afternoon and then straight to wine.
So I'm coffee and then wine.
Unless I have lunch with
Tequila.
Jeff and Lindsay, and then we just went straight to margaritas before noon yesterday.
Nice.
So Willie's going to join in a second. He's navigating through the Facebook page and everything. How's everyone been doing?
Good.
Good.
Good. That's good to hear.
How are you?
I can't complain. I can't complain at all.
Elizabeth, how long have you been with KW?
I got my license in November,
Okay.
but I was working as my mom's assistant for like on and off for 20 years. So she retired. I put my big girl pants on and got my license.
Nice. Congrats. I'm new, so this is my first time on this call.
Well, welcome. Definitely
Thank you.
welcome. Definitely welcome.
Callie, are you new as well, or no?
I've been in about a year and a half, just about, not quite.
Okay.
And having a pretty good year right now. I've closed $1.4 million and have another $1 million in the works.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
I'm working on it. I'm doing all the things that I'm supposed to do, right? Well, most of them. Not all of them.
That's exciting.
Happy that we're back to open houses and can increase my lead gen stream right now.
How have open houses been so far?
A little bit, like I did one up in the Bay and had 0 people come, and directly after that I drove down to St. Francis and had 4 people at a great little condo. So
Sure.
It really is day and time dependent. We all know we can host the same open house on 2 different days, and one day there can be 8 people and the next day there can be 0. So how traffic decides to flow, all you can do is be there and be ready. So.
That's true. That's very true.
You guys hear
In
me?
fact, I was at an inspection on Sunday morning and I picked up a new buyer at the inspection because they wanted to buy the house that I had under contract.
Wow. That's always a good thing.
They just pulled up. I was in the mood to tell them no. I was in the mood to get new buyers.
There we go.
Hey, is my audio working?
Yes.
No.
Newby.
Not at all, man.
We can hear you, Willie.
Supposed to get a haircut tomorrow, finally. And a shave. Oh, God, it's terrible.
We've got some music in the background. I'm not sure who it is. Maybe
Thank
Anna?
you. I just muted Anna.
Okay, cool. Should we wait a minute or do you guys want to get going?
Why don't you guys go ahead and get started? I'm sure a few more people will pop on.
All right, cool. Well, welcome to the show, Newby and myself. How do you want to start, Newby? Do we want to like talk about our past couple years and what we've done?
Sure. We can kind of give a little intro.
Yeah, why don't you start?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Tell your production too.
Newby, you go.
Okay, so this is my 6th year in the business, I want to say. I don't know if that helps or hurts. Third.
That's good.
There we go. Okay. This is my 6th year in the business. I'm a partner on a team with Charlie Hutchinson. We have a team called Houseworks Collective. And my production's kind of varied over the years, but I'm usually around a $9 million guy, I guess you could say. The goal of this year was to do 15. Last year I did about 11, so I want to kind of keep that growing. And even with COVID, I'm not going to hit my number, but I shouldn't have much of a I guess, a decrease in business. If I do see a decrease, it would only be because of the competitive market, you know, because obviously even when you're prepared and aware of the competition, it's not always foolproof, and you can't always just assume that you're going to win every deal and every battle. And I know that Willie was going through a lot of that earlier this year, and now I'm starting to go through it pretty consistently. But you know, it's just part of the process, I guess. But the team last year we did about $30 million, and we have about 4 agents. I think, yeah, now we just had 2 new agents during COVID, so everyone hasn't really gotten to know them yet. But they're also brand new to the business, and so we'll make that introduction once we're back in person. But growing slowly but surely, for sure.
Cool. My name is Will Stalle. I am on the Stalle Realty Group. When I started in the business, I recruited Newby. That was fun. This is a whole nother story, but I guess we could call it recruiting. I'm not really sure. I was just there.
I mean, it makes sense that counts.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. So before this, I was at Kohl's corporate for a year and didn't really vibe with that culture, so I left. And I always kind of knew real estate was a thing to pursue, just didn't want to do it right away. And then got my license and kind of helped get the office going, wore a lot of hats in the beginning, and then started selling 4 years ago. So I guess it's been 6 years now since then. So 2 years is like kind of a front desk, tech guy, whatever was needed before we made a bunch of hires, and much better hires than myself, i.e. Mandy. And the first year I was like maybe 2.5 million, 3 million, and then I jumped up to around 5. And then the last 2 years I've done about like right around 8 million. So I'm kind of static at the 8 million mark. This year I've booked and closed 7.7 already, so that's good. And I'm hoping to hit my goal of 12.5 million. So that's where I'm at. I do about roughly 30 transactions a year, average of like 450,000. So kind of across the board, everything from 200,000 to 1.5 million is kind of my range, just a big range. But yeah, so let's get going. So Newby and I have been talking a little bit about what we wanted to talk about, and I know Maureen had a call last week with some people. So we'll kind of mix and match different things that you guys have been hearing from various different agents. And of course the topics have a lot of overlap, but I think that we're all kind of running with our heads cut off right now and trying to keep sane in this business. So it's always good to maybe repeat a few things, and then I'm sure you'll hear different perspectives from both of us on various topics. So first thing I wanted to start with was just like a mindset and motivation kind of topic. So a lot of my focus is on mindset, and I think that it helps bleed into the rest of the business. And there's a lot of ebbs and flows. Like I don't want you guys to take away like, oh, these guys are crushing it all the time. Like Newby and I'm sure he can attest to this. It is a business that tests every emotion that you have. It tests every, your ability to do the job, your skills, and it also tests your ability to handle people. I mean, there's so many different variables that it's not always easy. So, I mean, although we may seem like we do a lot of production, it's not an easy business for sure. So like there's ups, downs there. You get sideways a lot. You kind of lose yourself. You find yourself. So just like finding comfort in that discomfort of figuring it all out and changing yourself all the time with your environment is just like why we all kind of do this business, I think too. So my first thing is being well slept, well fed, and well read. It's pretty simple. So I think sleep's important, food is important, and being well read is kind of like pointing towards just like what we're doing now is constantly evolving and changing our mind to adapt to our situations, and reading books, listening to podcasts, whatever it is, it's going to help you motivate yourself and maybe change a little bit. So, those three things are really important for me. And I think it's important to remind yourself that like, if you don't sleep right, if you don't eat right, everything's going to be way more difficult. So just make sure you're focusing on yourself first in order to help other people. That's kind of a big thing for me. And then the second mindset and motivation thing that I'll just start with, and before we get going, like Newby and I want to make this interactive, especially with like a smaller group. I think it's beneficial for us to even have a small group here so that we can all kind of like work with each other and talk, and we want you to participate. So please feel free to speak up, and if we ask questions, we will leave it silent until someone answers. All right. So the second thing is a vibe check. I like the word vibe, but I think a lot of people do too. It's like, whether it's waking up every day, whether it's like going to an appointment or shifting your focus from one client to the next, just like take a minute to like check yourself, check your vibe, because everything you do is contagious. Like your mindset is contagious, your positivity is contagious, and equally your negativity will be contagious. So just make sure that if there's something that's getting you down, you got to find ways to uplift yourself so that you can keep going. Because the minute you spiral into like a negative situation or a negative mindset, the rest of your day is going to be affected. And that means the rest of your clients are going to be affected, your transactions, your co-brokes, whatever it is that you have that day, your husband, your wife, your kids. It's all about the vibe that you're putting out there. So I think that's really important, just to make sure like you're being self-aware all the time. And if you feel off, like run into that feeling, like don't run from it. Oftentimes I feel like I've run from things and I just make things worse. And it's in the back of my brain, so it's just going to affect everything. So like if you're feeling it, like run into it and be like, why am I feeling this? What do I need to do to change it? And then go from there. So just kind of reset your mindset, and it'll help you keep your sanity in this, especially in a competitive market where there's just like, I can't even think straight right now, like what I have going on. But if I'm not thinking straight, I'm not going to be able to accomplish what I need to. Newby, you got anything to say about those two things?
No, I mean, I definitely agree. I mean, it's all about like, attitude is everything, just kind of maintaining, because, if you are feeling the pressure of the market, and if you kind of have sort of a negative sort of expectation to how things are going to go, like that's going to be very, your clients are going to be very receptive to that. Mm-hmm. And so you kind of want to keep them focused on being positive and kind of keep them kind of in line with the goal. And, like one of the things that I talk about that Willie and I have mentioned before is, kind of coaching your clients and kind of making sure that, you manage their expectations. Like this is not the time to get a deal on a house. You're not going to go and, negotiate, and win. It's a seller's market, inventory is low, and there's a buyer for every house, and most times there's multiple buyers for every house. And so you have to put yourself in the mind of your seller or of your client and say, hey, look, like, I know what you're looking for. I know that your mom and dad who bought a house in 1983, are going to try to give you advice on like how to go through this whole process. Or even if it's like people who are empty nesters and they're selling their first house and they're looking to buy something else. Like, look, you haven't done a deal in a long time. And there's not a single industry that is the same today as it was 10 years ago. So if it's been 10 plus years since you bought a house, likely some things have changed to the effect that you don't know what's going on as well as you might think that you do.
Right. And
that's why we're here as a resource. So like a lot of the times people get their pre-approvals and they have an idea of where they want to be price-wise. Like, I want to spend this much money, which means I can afford this much house based on my down payment and my pre-approval. And if say my average price point's like $345. If someone comes to me with a pre-approval letter and they can afford $345 and that's their sweet spot, like they might need to look lower because we're going to be going over sometimes, especially when the right property is apparent, and it's there. It's not just the right property for you, it's going to be the right property for a lot of other people. And keeping that in mind, you have to put your best foot forward initially, as opposed to A, trying to negotiate, and B, thinking that this is going to be an opportunity for you to, just get your dream house unless you are fully educated on the process. So maybe setting their sights a little bit lower and looking at a lower price point, knowing that they're going to have to go up above that number to get to where they're trying to be. And then kind of coaching them throughout that process so they can maintain that positivity. Like, it's going to be hard. It's going to be competitive. And, a lot of the times, like, in the past, pre-COVID, you would show up to a listing and say it was a ranch at 325 in Brookfield that was like partially updated. By 5:30 p.m., there's going to be 30 cars there for a showing. Well, now, we're doing one showing at a time. So they don't see that competition as much, but they need to know about the competition because it's just as real, if not more.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's a good point. Being able to see the hundreds of cars, it is, yeah, I mean, maybe that's more of a blessing in it gives us, in my opinion, what that just kind of brought to mind for me is like, this market seems crazy, and it is crazy, but I really do think it gives us more opportunity to be the fiduciary, to like be the one that they need in order to get this done, because we are in the market every day. They're only in the market when they need to buy a house or sell a house, right? So if we have experience and can speak on that experience, whether it's within the past 48 hours, our experience, or comparing to a week ago, or comparing to pre-COVID, whatever it is, or a year ago, being able to speak to those different experiences and kind of relate their situation to what is going on is how you're going to win. And like Newby said, like setting expectations, if you start by setting those expectations that it's going to be difficult, you set yourself up for a win, because when you do win, they're going to appreciate you that much more, right? And if it's on the first house, wow, I mean, like, you really are a good agent. If you can get a house in competition with 10 people, that proves that you know what you are doing, and you are thinking maybe outside the box. And we'll get into specifics about how we write offers and stuff like that right now, but like, there's definitely situations where it's going to give you more leverage to be the person that they need, right? To be the person that you're setting yourself up for, and to like bring a win to the table. And that win is going to feel even better if you're setting the expectations right away. Like, hey guys, it's not an easy road, but you're working with a great agent, and I'm going to hopefully help you, attain your goals.
Like, when you first have the conversation with them and you're saying, okay, like, I have a new buyer, someone called me, you're a referral from, somebody else sold a house 2-3 years ago, and I can't wait to work with you. Like, I need to have that initial conversation and say, listen, I'm going to send you new listings that are on the market, new inventory that hits the day of. You're going to get an email. One of the first emails you see in the morning is going to be from me with whatever's new in the market based on what you are looking for. And if you see something that you like and it's a Tuesday morning, don't tell me to set up a showing on Friday. Like, if you like it on Tuesday, 50 other people like it on Tuesday. If you let them know that up front, like they understand the urgency of getting in there, then there's the urgency of getting an offer. So like I'll let them know, hey, listen, they're presenting offers on Monday at 2 p.m., which means we have 3 days to get an offer in, our best foot forward. You do not want a multiple counter situation. You do not want to, send an offer and try to negotiate with them. Assume if there's at least one offer, it's at least an asking price. How badly do you want the house? If you can't afford it at that number, or if that's not a comfortable number for you, that's fine. We can regroup. We can find something else that's going to be more feasible. But like, this is what you need to know when you're going. If you want this house, this is what you need to know.
Right.
And so kind of keeping that urgency and making them like, this is like a gut check time. Like, you're in the game here. Like, is this what you want to do? Is this going to be feasible? Is this going to be comfortable? If it's not, that's fine. But if it is, let's make some moves and get this.
How early are you guys setting that stage? I mean, is that in your buyer's consult? Like the first time you talk to them, you're saying, hey, this is what's happening with inventory. Like we have to be aggressive. Yeah.
First conversation. Like I let them know quick and early that, this is how it goes.
Even like when you're at a cocktail party or you're at whatever function you're at, if you're meeting with people face to face, which I still try and do right now, because that's just kind of how I've built my business. But the question of how's the market is a perfect tee up for that conversation right away. Just tell them what you're experiencing. And if you're new to the business, just like these kind of video calls and whatnot, and leveraging the office and the knowledge of people that are in the mix right now is how you're going to be able to speak to it and just reframe the conversation like you are in the market, because you are, right? They don't know who you're working with or how many people you've gone under contract with. Don't lead with that. Like, they're not going to ask that question. They just want to know, like, how's the market and what are your thoughts? And then just speak with confidence. And with experience comes confidence, but if you can build confidence early in your career by surrounding yourself with people who know this real estate thing really well, then you're going to start with a leg up on all the other real estate agents who are trying to break into the market, especially in a market that's so tight right now. So yeah, that first conversation right out of the gate is just telling them about the market, and include your experiences. Like, oh, I went and showed a house. Like, if I have investors, I tell the story of like 2 weeks ago in Bayview, I wrote an offer and there were 13 offers. Like, a lot of them were cash, and we wrote 30,000 over asking. We lost. So like, saying that right out of the gate to an investor is like setting the stage, right? Like, hey, if you want to play, you got to be ready to play. And your competition is crazy with all these out-of-state investors with cash offers. Especially in like Bayview, Tosa, whatever it is, a duplex anywhere within 20 minutes of the city is going to be tough. Unless the one caveat to all this, and when we talk about there being multiple offers, is we are now seeing the prices that were way too high sit. So that's the only opportunity when you can get in there and say, hey guys, we have a small window before they take a price drop to be the offer that they work with. All right. So before we wait for a price drop and time the market, I hate when people say time the market, because it's an impossible thing to time, especially during COVID. But if you're going to say, let's time the market, that just means you're not a real buyer, because no one's able to time the market. That's not a real thing. If you try and time the market, can I draw something real quick? Hold on. I read Shift. If you haven't read Shift, you should read Shift. It's not necessarily COVID Shift, but it's very applicable to like everything. So I would read Shift. So when someone says, I want to time the market, I just want to talk about this for a second. You guys can see this? So there's a graph. So here's the market. Let's say prices, if I'm drawing prices and they're like on this trajectory, does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Prices are going up. And they say, all right, I'm waiting to time it because prices are going to go down at some point, right? Okay. Well, then draw this graph and then say to them, tell me when you think the prices are going to drop, and then quickly turn the curve down, right? And I don't know if Maureen did this last week, but turn it down, and then they're going to say, all right, there. Okay. Then you draw a point and you're like, okay, well, actually, because you said you wanted to time the market, we missed it. Right? Like, you just missed it because you didn't know when I was going to turn the graph down, and I don't know when the market's going to turn down. So If you're going to try and time it, you're going to miss it because there's a lag period. So that's a good exercise to work with people who say they want to time the market. It's not a timing thing.
Also, like, emphasize buying power. Like,
Right.
interest rates are great right now. That gives you a ton of flexibility with, like, your down payment situation. Money's free, basically. 3.5% of our 30-year fixed loan. Like, that's historically low. So you want to wait for them to go up to 5.5%, and then you're going to get a deal on a house that's going to be less than the house that you were going to buy in the first place because now you can't afford that house anymore. Like, while the market's appreciating 4.5% every year. So you're losing out on equity for the appreciation, losing out on buying power because of the interest rates. So it makes the best decision to be as comfortable now. And depending on the property and, like, how long it's been on the market and when we're going to see the property, like, I'll even tell people, ignore the price.
Yeah.
Like, pay with what you're comfortable paying. Let's run some quick numbers. You're putting down 15% and the price is $350 at a 3.5% interest rate with taxes around, $7,500 a year. Is this number good for you? And if you can afford more, then go for it. You're protected by the appraisal, so the market's going to be fine. And then you have appreciation of 4.5% every year, so you know it's a good investment. As long as you're comfortable with your nut that you're paying every month, then get the house.
Right.
And if you have to, ask yourself those questions as to whether or not it's comfortable or not, then yeah, maybe it's not. But at the same time, like, those are the questions. Who cares what it's priced at? Like, do you think it's going to go in asking? I think it's going to go for over asking. I showed a house yesterday, $275 in Whitefish Bay. That house is going to go for over asking for sure. It just is. Like, don't even look at 275. That's not the number. If you expect 275,
and if it's not going within 48 hours, then it's a price issue, and then you have a short window of opportunity before a price drop. Like, that's your only opportunity to get no competition right now is overpriced listings if they're willing to entertain. However, it doesn't mean you're going to get a deal. It means you're going to have a window of opportunity to get it before they drop the price and get 10 offers.
And let them know about opening the window for other buyers to come in.
Right.
Like, if someone's listed for $300,000 and they want to offer $285 because it's been on the market for 2 weeks. Well, if someone comes in, if we offer $285 and while they're considering our offer, someone comes in and, they offer $292 or $292.5, whatever, they're not even going to counter us. They're going to go with that other offer or counter them.
So elaborate on that, Newby. What do you mean? You're giving an example, but for those who are more new to this, leaving a window, where is it that you want to help educate your buyer and not leaving that window?
So normally it's like this. If you have a situation where a property's been on the market for a long time, and by a long time, let's say 3 weeks to a month, you want to go in there and you want to say, okay, I want to offer X amount of dollars because it's listed for 300. It's been sitting for a while. And even though I know rates are good, even though I know if I just do this bathroom, I could put 10 grand into the house and random parts, and it's going to be worth 320, then I'm going to try to offer lower. I'm going to come in at 280 and hope that I can reach a number at 290. If that number that you want to be at is 290, then we're talking about $10,000 in difference between in a 30-year loan. $10,000 over 30 years is going to be like $16 a month. So you need to ask yourself and ask your clients, are you willing to lose this house knowing that it's appreciating 4.5% a year, knowing that you're going to get a 3.25 locked in interest rate? You're going to lose this house over $16 a month over a trip to, Panera. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. So they need to think about that as opposed to just trying to get a deal, because they're not getting a deal. Obviously, dollars are different to buyers and sellers, but that I'm telling you as an industry professional that what you're looking to do with this house is not going to be earth shattering or like, anything this magnanimous. It's just going to add value to the house easily. And when we go to sell this house in 4 to 7 years, you're going to make some money on it. So just don't skip over a quarter to pick up a nickel. Like, let's get that quarter now and be done with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the appreciation thing. I mean, the numbers are clear, and there's areas that appreciate higher than that in the past couple of years because of this lack of inventory. So just like when in doubt, just rely on the numbers. I mean, you can talk all you want, and like, we're good at talking. That's like what we do for a living. But talking doesn't mean anything if you don't have the statistics to back it up. So make sure like what you're saying is like bound by fact, because we can try and forecast and figure out what's going to happen. But our job really though is interpretation. Like we're interpreting the moment, we're interpreting the last 6 months, the last year, the last 2 years, and then it gives us the ability to forecast, and all of that's a skill. It's not a gift, or it's not just like when I say rely on the numbers, like don't just spit them out, but like understand them so that you can explain it, and you're not like telling them opinion, you're telling them facts, which is what Newby is really good at. There's the numbers and like run and gun. Like he can, like what he just did is going really fast. I know for a lot of people, like even for me, I couldn't keep track of what he just said. But but I get it, and like slow down and like work the numbers yourself first. Like don't just regurgitate, like make sure you get it, because if you don't get it, you're going to set yourself up to fail.
Yeah, that's definitely the biggest thing I'm picking up from you guys right now. Like Newby, you just even said, as an industry professional, what I'm telling you is this: being able to say that to your client. If I was working with an agent and they said that to me, I'd be like, oh yeah, there's a reason why I'm not doing this myself, right? They're looking to you to help them. So don't feel like you have to just kiss their butt to like have them keep you. They want you to be able to coach them and to tell them, and to be able to do that, you have to just keep up with what's happening in the market.
And you like, Newby, you go first.
A lot of the times when you do these offers, you know, like I told Willie yesterday, there's like the arsenal of the offer. The offer isn't just going to be the price, and every part of that offer is going to have an impact, you know, on whether they accept it or they counter it, or if you lose in competition. And so what I tell my sellers is, we're not going to take the highest offer, we're going to take the best offer. So if you're working with a buyer who's putting 5% down, you know, if you're working with a buyer who's doing an FHA program, and, you know, maybe they need a closing cost credit, that has to be reflected in your offer price. Like if something's listed for $150,000 and, you know, you have a buyer who's a FHA buyer that is buying a house that isn't neglected but needs some work and is rough around the edges, and, you know, you also need $3,000 to close. Like if you show up with an offer for $145 and they have to say that's really $142 after the closing cost credit, and then I know there's going to be some lead-based paint that to sand and scrape and then, you know, get repainted before closing, because that's a requirement of the FHA. Like they need to say, I'm okay doing all of this because I'm getting this number. Mm-hmm. So your buyers need to be cognizant of that and say, okay, I don't have the strongest offer as a whole, you know, so because of that, I need to make up ground in some areas. Right. It also comes into, you know, that also has a lot to do with the lender. Like if you send a pre-approval letter, if I'm getting multiple offers and one of my pre-approval letters from one of the offers is from Jake's Lending, like I don't care if it's a pre-approval letter. I don't know who Jake's Lending is, but I know who Jake Showman is with Bank of England. And that's going to be one that's going to stand up more so than someone else's, you know, a random one. So when you have these buyers, they're like, oh, hey, yeah, I'm pre-approved, I'm good to go. You have to educate them that all pre-approval letters aren't created equal. Like when you show up and you have like, you know, a quality lender, and then say, it doesn't mean go with Wells Fargo, Chase, or US Bank. Like, you know, you have to educate them on that too. You know, those are almost more terrifying than Jake's own lending, you know, because they don't get the job done most of the time because they don't care.
For FHA, what I would say is, like Newby just said, if your buyer is FHA, which I mean is, you know, a lot of people, that's the only program that works, right? So if that's what works for them, just educate them. Like in competition, it's going to be more difficult, competing against conventional. It's just a fact. I mean, we're not trying to like discriminate because you have FHA. It's just a fact that someone with 30% down versus someone with 3% down is going to win most of the time, unless, like Newby said, you adjust your terms. And one thing with FHA that you can do is offer to take care of any requirements that FHA appraiser requires before you submit the offer. I just accepted an offer that's FHA because of that. The buyer said, we're willing to do all paint, we're willing to do all handrails, and we're willing to do whatever it is. So understanding the different lending. If you guys don't know like what the requirements are or haven't dealt with it, talk to a lender. And it's good to have good lending partners for education purposes as well as business to understand those things so that you can educate your buyers, because we're not the mortgage lenders. We're not expected to know all the details, and every lender is different, but we are expected to understand them, especially if you're a listing agent, because you know that is a huge, I've had multiple deals during COVID fall apart because of financing, because the buyers have a lot of leverage, especially if they lose their job or their finances change, which a lot of that has happened recently, especially in, you know, certain markets and whatnot. If finances change, all the lender has to do is send a letter like, hey, sorry, we can't lend. And then they get out of the deal. It happened to me 3 times on the same property. So just like the financing is very, very important. One thing I want to jump to, like we're going into the weeds on a lot of this stuff, but I think it's all important, of course. And I know that this topic is talked about a lot, but your relationships with agents. It couldn't be more important now. I know Maureen talks about this a lot. A lot of people talk about it. Your relationships in the marketplace are everything, especially when you're in competition with 10 other agents. And if you're in areas where the listings are dominated by 2 or 3 key players, if you're not cool with those 2 or 3 key players, like become cool with them, like get to know them. A lot of them are in our office. We have like 3 of the top 5 teams in our office. We have in the top 20 in MLS, I think we have a good chunk, maybe 7 or 8 even between our offices. So like get to network with the agents. Now it's a little bit tougher because we don't have the office space to work in, but you can. I mean, you can set up coffees and you can set up meetings, and you can set up masterminds however you want, or do Zoom conferences, but don't be hesitant to reach out to those agents, because the way that you operate, if it's your first deal with them, make sure it's phenomenal. If you haven't done a deal with them, build the relationship now. If you don't like them, figure out a way to like them, because there's a lot of personalities in the business. We all don't work with the same type of people. We all don't work with the same type of personality, right? We're kind of like chameleons in that regard. And a lot of our job is just figuring out who the people are and kind of like mirror and matching their style. And that goes with the co-broke as well.
And Willie, you do a really good job about that. Talk more about too, how you, some other like groups that you're in, like YP and some other things, and Brokers Tour for those who don't know.
Yeah,
starting back up again.
Brokers Tour, I mean, COVID has definitely changed a lot of this, but like in a normal market, Brokers Tour is how I met Newby, actually. That's how I met a lot of agents. It's not always prevalent in like different markets, but in the North Shore where we work a lot is Brokers Tour. And I mean, Milwaukee is small Milwaukee. Like it's not a very big city. Like the key people do most of the business. 80% of the business is done by 20% of the people. So figure out a way to get to know those 20%. And I'm a big believer in face-to-face. I can only charm people so much over the phone. I need to have cues. I need to have like that flow of engagement face-to-face, just like you have with your clients. You need to have that with the other agents. So KWYP is a big thing. I try and stay connected nationally. Newby does the same thing. We have a couple friends in various different states that if you can find good people on the East or West Coast, you know, they're typically seeing different things before we do, because the markets move faster and they're affected differently on the coasts, and then it works its way to the central states. So we've got friends in DC, New York, Texas, California. I mean, Newby and I can call anyone in those states, and I also have referral partners in those states. So that kind of masterminding and talking to people outside of your market too, it just is going to sharpen your skills. It's just going to give you more perspective on the real estate industry as a whole, and give you more things to work on, right? A lot of my mindset stuff is just talking to other people that are outside of my market, because there's no competition with them. It's just like, hey, we're both, like Newby said, we're industry professionals, and we want to make each other better and learn from each other. So just like always coming from like a learning based attitude is kind of a good way to do it.
You can also
Can I ask a quick question?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sorry. So going back to what is a broker's tour? I'm completely new, and I know that GSG said they were having something yesterday, but what does that
Yeah.
involve?
So what that is on every Tuesday in our market, and if you're in the North Shore, it's anywhere like downtown up to Cedarburg along the east side of town is very broker's tour. Some people do it on the west end of town, but not as much. Every Tuesday from 10:30 to 2, if it's a new listing, they try and time it out where brokers are allowed to come see the house first. You can bring clients if you happen to have clients that can slip out and go with you. They have gone away during COVID drastically, but they're coming back, just like open houses are coming back. And that's your opportunity to meet the agents without your clients there. We just say, hey, I'm going to try and bring someone in here, right? Like set yourself up for success, get to know them. And if you don't vibe with someone, like figure out some sort of common ground or some sort of vibe that you can vibe with them, because you don't want to ruin a relationship, because ruined relationships in this business means less deals for your clients, especially if they're people that control the listings.
Yeah.
So you got to make sure that you are trying to schmooze, and not even schmooze, just like be a real person and like get to know them, and you will succeed. Because the minute that, I know that like if I write an offer with Rick Rubin, I've worked with him before. We both have a mutual respect for each other, and I think he's a great agent. He happens to be in our office. I've gotten to know him a little bit. He's an awesome guy, and he and I both know that if we get under contract together, or if I'm writing an offer on his property, we're already a step ahead of everyone else because of our relationship.
Yeah.
He's going to want to work with me.
And broker tour is also a good opportunity to educate yourself on the market. Like if you're walking through multiple houses in Shorewood or Whitefish Bay, and then you can go to your clients and say, your price point is up to $450. That'll get you this in Shorewood, this in Whitefish Bay. I've been inside of this house. Like I can tell you this, this, and this. Like it makes you more of an authority on the market. So even if it's worth, it's definitely worth an hour to 2 hours of your time once a week, just to get out there and kind of educate yourself on what's out there.
It's every Tuesday morning.
Every Tuesday
So
morning. Yeah, it's really heavy in the North Shore. Really heavy in the North Shore.
And Newby's really good at social media, and I think like it gives you an opportunity to showcase houses on your social media.
Yeah.
Like beautiful, like just select like the best bathroom and the best kitchen of the day, post it, and you get engagement, and people are like, damn, like you're in houses all the time. It's just like it gives us an opportunity to go in houses every week without clients.
Absolutely.
And build that brand and that reputation.
Yeah. And then also back to the co-broke thing, like use them as a part of your leverage. Like say, your buyers love a house, and that house, the sellers have found another house and they're moving in 2 months. Like if you go to them with an offer that's super high, and it has, like say it's listed for $300,000, and you offer them $315, closing in 30 days, 20% down, great lender. But then someone else who offers them $305 is closing in 2 months because their agent called the listing agent, was like, hey, when do your sellers want to close? And now they're concerned about like, well, if we accept this offer, we have to find temporary housing. If we counter them with the close date, they're going to leave. We lose the other offers. It might just be in their best interest to take the lower offer that closes in line with when they need to close. So having that conversation first and foremost with the listing agent can go a long way to kind of setting the expectation and saying, look, I can already have a conversation with you. We're building rapport. Like I want what's best for your client and my client. Let's make this whole thing happen. So having those initial conversations before you do an offer, don't just rush to your computer. It's okay.
Guys, will you talk about, like, I love calling my co-broke. I've got my 5 favorite questions that I talk to my co-broke about. I hate it if someone was just going to dump an offer in my lap without talking to me first. What are your favorite top questions to ask a co-broke when you're going in and knowing like how much, like how do you, without doing anything sneaky, what are your favorite questions to get, like knowing how much competition you think you are coming up against, and how to write your best favorite, like the best offer to
being very polite. So if it's a couple that I'm working with, like first and foremost, I'll say, yeah, we have a young couple. They're looking to make, as a lot of my buyers are first-time home buyers or second-time home buyers or first-time suburb buyers, I guess. So they'll say, you know, I have a buyer, young couple, looking to make this their first home. You know, here's a letter from them accompanied with the offer. But just before I get this thing on paper, you know, when are you guys looking to close? When's the best close date for your seller? So instantly, there's like a personal touch from my client. There's me going to their agent and trying to build a rapport there so that when they're looking through the other offers, I'll qualify the lender. Yeah, the lender is, you know, I use Jake Shumman a lot. So Jake Shumman with Bank of England, I've done a lot of deals with him. He's very thorough, great lender. I have all the confidence in the world in them as buyers, as qualified buyers. So if they're going through multiple offers, they can then look and say, okay, well, here's a personal touch with a letter from them. They're closing in line with what my sellers want to close. I don't know who this lender is necessarily, but there seems to be a lot of confidence in who this lender is. And, you know, the terms are kind of in line with what we're looking for. So that can really factor in and play a part, you know, and now it's like, and he also called. It's not just a random email with a, you know, please confirm receipt attachment to it, you know. It's actually kind of personal because this is a personal business, you know.
Yeah, I would say, echoing what Newby just said, everything there is like calling them, like don't text. I mean, I text, like if I'm on the go, I'll be like, hey, showing your listing this afternoon. And then I always call.
Yeah.
If it's serious, I try and call beforehand and say, how many offers do you have?
Mm-hmm.
When I leave the property, I call them and I say, hey, they're either interested or not interested. If they're not interested, I'll text just like, hey, not interested, thanks, or showing feedback. They don't care about whether or not they want to hear your voice if you're going to write an offer.
Yeah.
And then call and say, how many do you have? How many are you anticipating? How many offers are you anticipating? And please, 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 would you mind reaching out to me when you receive offers?
Yes.
I will be sure to check back in with you because I understand it's a bit crazy right now. So even though I'm asking them to reach out to me, it's not going to stop me from calling them again in an hour. I don't care how many times I'm going to call them because the more that I talk to them on the phone, the more I'm giving my opportunity to build my rapport with the agent and also make sure I'm not forgotten about because I've been forgotten about before and I realize that that's my fault.
Yeah.
It's not their fault. If an agent has 10 offers and they don't tell you that they have 10 offers, it's your fault for not asking them.
Yeah.
That's what I truly believe that there is no blaming in real estate. If you play the blame game, you're going to lose every time. And if someone's blaming you, just be humble and accept it. You know, oftentimes the emotions of this business get in the way and egos get in the way and you can't control what else is going on in their life that might be impacting their emotion right now. So just try and like take yourself out of it and be like, just be humble, be really kind. If you're right, don't try and force your opinion. Just accept that they might be having a tough day. If you're wrong, admit that you're wrong. Be like, hey, I apologize. Maybe like sometimes I'm a little fiery. I can get a little, if someone like comes at me, I'll sometimes come right back at them, but that doesn't always work. So like I'm trying to curb that emotional side of things and just like be really, really calm because the last thing you want to do is ruin it for your client. Because
I also don't like I don't want my clients to think I'm pressuring them into writing an offer. So like what I'll usually do is I'll tell them, look, I give this an evening showing. I'll go, look, go get some dinner or, you know, go have a cocktail, have a conversation.
have 5 cocktails and then let's write an offer.
Yeah. It's like, let's talk about it. But in that time, I'll reach out to the other agent. I'll say, look, do you have any offers in hand? If you get one, let me know. Like if they say no, like if you have any rumblings of one coming, let me know. My buyers are thinking about it. I don't want them to think that, oh, he's going to send me an offer. Like I won't say that unless I press send on my email. Mm-hmm. So I'll say to them, look, if you get any offers, please let me know. So then I'll reach out to my clients. I'll say, look, there's no offers right now. There have been a good amount of showings today. Take your time, have a conversation. If I get wind of any offers coming in, I'll relay that information to you, but make the decision right now as if, you know, there is no offer and you want to be in the most comfortable position. Okay. And then that kind of puts them at ease, but makes them know that they have to be very methodical about if they're going to write. and how much you're going to write for.
Yeah,
So-
and I never ask specifics about price or how far over
Yeah.
asking or whatever.
Yeah.
That's just
Yeah.
not, we can't do that. But right now, just know that you have to go over asking. I mean, it's really more about what your client's comfortable with. Like a good question to ask them is, let's say it's $325 listing price, and they say, all right, I'm willing to go over asking. Okay, great. That sounds great. I think that that's what you're going to need to do in order to accomplish this. How far over asking are you thinking? I was thinking if it's $325 and they say $335. Okay, great. Now, if you lose the offer for $336 to someone, are you going to be cool with that? All right. Well, I don't know. That's kind of close. All right. Well, tell me, like, think about it and tell me the number that you would lose to that you're like, good for them. They got the house. That's too high, right? Work them up, because the fear of overpaying is a legit fear, but we can't control that. The market's controlling that. So like, you have to help them, like, guide their brain to like figure out what's comfortable for your situation and what's going to make you excited about this house. And also, if someone else wins, what are you comfortable losing to? Like, that helps you figure out really their true max.
Yeah.
And gives you more leverage for sure.
Because I also like to let clients know, if you lose out on a house because of something like that was kind of insignificant or you didn't put your best foot forward, you're going to compare every house moving forward to that one that you didn't get.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to allow yourself to miss out on other opportunities because you keep on thinking about the one that got away. So if you're going to let it get away at a number or under conditions that like it's best that I don't go for this house, you know?
Yeah.
That way they've made peace already. They've had the closure of not getting that house if they don't get it. And they almost have the expectation they won't get it, you know, and they're just hoping to get it and we'll see what happens. And that's kind of like a very important sort of like space to be in, because their own expectations are now being managed. Also, like the leverage component. Like if your buyers are like, well, you know, my mom and dad told me that I need a home warranty. Or like you want a closing cost credit. Or do you think they'll give us a closing cost credit? Well, you're putting 20% down. Like, do you need a closing cost credit? You know, like you don't, you know.
Let's do that during inspection after we get married.
Yeah, after the inspection, make them commit to you, the buyer, where they're like, okay, well, you know, I've got this buyer. I like the number that they're at. They had their inspection already. I'm looking at what they're asking me for. I can also look at the inspection report to see what they could have been asking for as well. Am I confident as a seller that I'll be able to get a buyer just as good or better if I don't agree to what they're asking for here? And that's now you're putting them in the decision-making, you know, point of the process where the ball is in their court. Like, you know, we've presented ourselves to be qualified buyers, give you a great number with a strong offer, closing when you want to close. And we ask for a couple of random things in the inspection, but we really want a home warranty, you know, because the water heater is 20 years old. Like, is that something that's going to be like a deal breaker for them? Likely no. So that's when you ask for something. Like when someone's like, oh, well, do you think they'll sell the grill? Like, who cares about the grill? Like, let's put an offer on paper first, and then we can worry about the patio set after the fact that we're not going to run the deal. So kind of maintain the process.
You don't want to ask for things too early. I mean, for sure, you don't ask for anything. You're just trying to get the AO. And like, it's like going to a restaurant and telling the waiter, like, hey, I'm not tipping you today, but your manager's got this one. Make sure you go get the 20% from him. Like, they're not going to serve you.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta win first, and then like massage the situation, and then
make them commit to you. Make them commit to you.
Yeah.
You know, a bird in the hand and that's a very important thing. You know.
All right. Well, what other questions do you guys have? We're kind of nearing the end of an hour here, right? We started at 11. Yeah. Do you guys have any other questions, like any specifics you want us to get into? Anything?
Okay. So when submitting an offer, obviously, let's say you're the seller's agent, I'm the buyer's agent. So ideally, what I would do, call you on the phone, let you know, we're going to be doing this. Is there anything I need to know? And then submit it with a letter from the buyer.
Mm-hmm.
I usually yes.
I do letters all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you can include a picture too, I mean, that's even better.
And handwritten is great too. Like even if you scan it, like handwritten letters, like, look, this is how much this house means to me. This is an emotional business. So people are usually selling their houses that they have an emotional connection to. And if they have an idea that next owner of the house is going to be a positive sort of like, experience for the house itself. It's like, I'm leaving this in good hands. Like, I like this buyer that much. I want to give them this house,
Yeah. I've had buyers win at a lower price because of a letter. Multiple.
Absolutely.
I've had sellers
I like to look
lower
around for
price.
clues in the house. Like we were in a dog crazy person's house and my buyer loved her dog a whole lot. She wrote the letter from her dog and did an actual paw print on the letter from her dog. And we won the house because she wrote the letter from her dog. She was like, I can't wait to have a yard of my own. I've never had a yard and this is fenced. I won't have to wear a leash. Like, the letter was crazy sweet. But at the same time, like, we found out like more about the seller by looking around the house, and the buyer wrote the letter from her dog, and that's how we won.
Yeah, speak to the lifestyle for sure. Like, figure out their lifestyle, like you said, Callie, and like speak to that for sure. It's all emotional, and like sellers will say sometimes, if I'm a listing agent, I'm not going to read the letter. I'm not going to read the letter. I guarantee you they read the letter, because the wife or the husband might say, whoever the financial person is might say, I'm not going to read the letter, and the other person is going to read the letter, and they're going to talk about it, be like, oh, but I love this person. It happens all the time. You have to win the numbers first, but that's just an auxiliary tool you should be using all the time, because whether they're going to read it or not, they at least have the option to. Most of the times they read it. So yes, the letter is always good. That's a cool letter from a dog. That's hilarious.
I've got a TOSA buyer that I have a question about.
Yeah.
We have written multiple offers with letters and pictures, and they have a big down payment. We always write over, and we're still not getting it. But her max is
Who's their lender?
Commerce Bank.
Okay. Have you worked with them before?
I haven't worked with Commerce. She came to me from a referral previously.
Do you know how much are they putting down?
100.
Oh, that's good. That's really good.
$1,000.
And then,
Yeah.
also, what was I gonna say? What's their price point?
A lot.
300 is their max. So we're looking at.
You haven't won putting down 40%.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Wait, so when you're losing, do you know how many offers that you've lost to? Like, do they tell you how many offers there were?
5 to 30.
Oh my
But
God.
we've been in secondary position. The response is always great offer. You're always out there.
Are they looking for something to remodel, or are they looking for something that's done?
They'll do some painting. They'll do little remodels.
But they haven't written on anything that's like just completely unremodeled or dated, correct?
Correct.
Mm-hmm. And there is
That
this.
much down, can you talk to the lender about waiving appraisal?
Yeah, that's a good call too.
Oh,
Yeah, or
To them about putting in, we're not going to ask for anything to be fixed unless it's over X amount.
yeah.
So
I've waived
what
an
are the other
inspection
things you can put in
contingency.
to limit what the seller thinks their liability is when you're writing over? And so can you say, well, we're not going to ask for anything to be fixed unless it's over $2,000.
Okay.
That's a good one.
other ways to
Or,
put it.
Even if you've waived the inspection, though, I mean, that would, help that. I mean, wow, the appraisal thing is a good idea to waive that, because, but then again, like if I get 10 offers, I can definitely argue my price is right as a listing agent.
and you take an inspection out, that's even crazier too. It's like, sounds like the competition is maybe some cash offers out there or something. I don't know. But the other thing too is just like do as many things possible that you can that like are finicky and can adjust the contract, like offer to pay their tax balance. If they have that much money that they're putting down and they want to win the house, offer to pay their tax balance for the year. Don't include anything other than the financing, which you have to, and try and get the appraisal. Just don't write an appraisal. They're still going to have it. They might still have an appraisal, but yeah, talk to the lender ahead of time and see.
Is there a reason why their budget is $300,000 max?
Monthly payment, and the husband lost his job during COVID.
Oh man.
Because if you could get them up in their price point, like if he can get a job and he gets up in their price point, then you could have less competition potentially the higher you get. That first time home buyer price point of under $400,000 is really, really tough right now because
Yeah.
you have a ton of buyers who are like renting and they can get out of their leases and they don't have a house to sell. And so there's nothing getting in the way of them, just going all in, pushing all their chips into the middle of the pot.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be an issue for sure. I have, a lot of buyers that are in that price range right now, and that's for sure an issue.
And just don't lose your confidence because that's going to really, it's damaging for your confidence if you're losing that much. And it's happened to me 1,000 times too, in Wauwatosa specifically, the craziest market. I think the craziest market is Wauwatosa because of the density of the houses.
Yeah.
And it's just a product of that is a specific market that has boomed in the past 6-8 years and it hasn't stopped.
That's
And it's
for
become the most,
$400,000 there, you can get a lot for your money.
yeah, I mean, they're putting so much money down. That's surprising to me that he doesn't want to save half of that, 50,000 down, and then he's got 50,000 in the bank for his payments a month. I mean, it just doesn't. The math doesn't seem to add up there. So
I would definitely tell them to look into upping their budget and putting less money down.
Yeah.
Like even if they can have reserves if they up their budget to $375,000, $400,000, it changes their monthly by $300 a month or $400 a month. So I mean, you're looking at if you have an extra $40,000 in the bank that you want to just put aside for reserves. I'm sure he plans on being hired sometime in the next 10 months. So that difference was covered for the next,
Lane, if you want to go into specifics when you get into a new situation, just like call one of us and we can talk specifically through the situation because, we can't really get too deep into the weeds on a specific house right now in this call, but just feel free to call or text us.
What I would do though is this: I would talk to them about just like having don't make it seem like we'll just try again. I kind of work through their situation and offer up some suggestions as to what could work and if they want to change certain things. That way, it looks like you're working not just for them but with them on getting them what they need.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean you're just in a tough spot. I mean, don't just try and stay positive because that's crazy to me that they're putting 100,000 down and they've lost multiple times.
Have you worked with Commerce Bank? I don't know of them.
I never have. I mean,
yeah,
I would
for a different lender. I mean, you never if you can offer anything after losing that much, it gives you something else for them to focus on. Like, hey, let's just try something different. Let's switch it up here. And it gives you something to offer rather than being like, all right, here's another house. Let's give it a shot.
What's their interest rate? Are they locked in on a rate?
They were locked in. We were actually in a contract in Washington Heights, but it fell apart because it was a bad house. But so we have to redo their interest rate.
Does their lender know about where they would be?
They were 3.4 before.
I mean, you can definitely get that rate from, I know Landmark, I know UW Credit Union, I know Bank of England.
Bank. I have a couple great guys. I'll send you an email.
Yeah, Equitable Bank too is also really good. So you can get good rates too,
What was that last bank?
Equitable Bank.
Equitable Bank, okay.
Mario Monterey at Equitable Bank.
Okay.
Do you know any of the co-brokes that you could reach out to and try to find out if it was something in the offer and get some feedback? Was it anybody from KW that you could talk to and try to get some feedback on the offer?
None of the co-brokes have been KW, but I did have an agent at Firefly that was very nice. We were in a secondary position, and without giving me too much information, she gave me what she could.
Yeah,
and then I followed up on the house, and it was 30,000 over, and we were 15 over. So.
Yeah, I would just say you got to go even further over. A lot of the tactics in TOSA right now, especially Firefly, a lot of people are doing this. They price it under the market, and then you have to tell your client, all right, I think this is inaccurately priced lower so that they can draw multiple offers and go way over. So 15 over isn't going to work. You're going to have to go if it's underpriced by 10,000, factor that into the price. So 15 over is technically really, 5 over. And then you got to go even far above beyond that.
Yeah.
So like 30, 40, sometimes even 50,000 over asking, I've heard in TOSA. So just get them more comfortable with that pricing conversation, because you have to go crazy in TOSA in order to get it.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's something that Firefly has been known to do for years, but they're trying to get their percentage over asking price even higher. So they like to say, well, we get 103% of asking price on average. So they're trying to get that number higher.
Yeah, and we do that too. Our team underprices by 10, 15,000 a lot, especially in different price points, because of that situation. Because the minute that you toe the line of right where it maybe should be or a little high, you lose a lot of people who aren't interested in even looking at it. If you go a little lower, you get a flood of people and you go way over. So it's like a counterintuitive way to look at the industry. And not just Firefly does it though. I think everyone does it. And the inflation of the like you said, like 1 point whatever above asking price, it's just a product of supply and demand. Anyone's going to have that right now. I feel like as long as they're pricing accurately, it's super important to price accurately.
Okay.
So just knowing the market, just know the market, study it, study the sales, is especially now that everything's closing, that once COVID kind of lifted in the past month and a half, now things are closing in end of June. July is going to have a ton of closings. August is going to have a ton of closings. Prices are going to change. Everything's going to be more transparent because of the closings, which gives us more leverage and power to understand pricing accurately, to see what the closing prices are. So just study the sales, the recent sales.
Okay.
That's super helpful too.
Okay.
Any other questions you guys have? We're over an hour now, so I don't want to keep you guys too long. And if you have to go, feel free to jump off. Does anyone have anything else that we wanted to talk about?
Nope.
No, but I thank you for your time and feedback and insights at this point. Yeah.
The last thing I'll say is just one thing I like to remind myself is try and make someone's day every day, right? If it's your client, if it's you guys, whoever it is, go into every situation and try and make their day. You'll win.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Peace.
You know,